Welcome back to another episode of Motogp Mac, and today we're going to talk about the sprint race that just happened for the Indian Grand Prix. Now, the sprint race itself and tomorrow's main race have been shortened. Today's sprint race was shortened by 2 laps, down from 13 to 11 laps, due to the intense heat. Also, the sprint race was delayed due to weather conditions, as it did piss rain this morning, meaning that the Motogp riders did get an extra 15-minute session in the wet weather conditions, where most ran slicks, oddly, but the track conditions were, it wasn't fully wet and it wasn't fully dry. There were damp spots on the track, but most riders did start off with slick tires for the race. But once the race did get going, here's how it finished. Jorge Martin won it from Pecco Bagnaia, Marc Marquez, Brad Binder, Marco Bezzecchi, Fabio Quartararo, Jack Miller, Maverick Vinales, Raul Fernandez, Fabio Di Gianantonio, Augusto Fernandez, Miguel Oliveira, Taka Nakagami, Michele Pirro, and Franco Morbidelli were the last ones to cross the line. Aleix Espargaro, Johan Zarco, Joan Mir all crashed, and Luca Marini was involved with a Marco Bezzecchi in the first corner incident and crashed. And also at the same time, Pol Espargaro and Stefan Bradl came together in turn one and also retired at that spot. Now, I have to say about Jorge Martin, rode an absolute perfect race. You know, great start, pulled away from Pecco, was never really under pressure. Pecco Bagnaia didn't really look in the best of form. Let's just say he wasn't really comfortable. Bike looked very nervous. But again, looked like he just rode a sensible race to me, just to gather up the points. Marc Marquez probably rode one of the best races that he rode this season. I wasn't really expecting him to stay in third place, if I'm honest. But, you know, you could see how much he is overriding that bike, especially under brakes, how much risk he is taking just to keep with people under the brakes. Brad Binder as well rode a really, really good race. You could see that Brad was having a lot of trouble with that rear tyre, just completely spinning up on him, so he couldn't get the traction down to catch Marquez. Marco Bezzecchi was involved in a first corner incident with his teammate. It's kind of a tricky one to put there. I would kind of class it as a racing incident, but I'm sure there will be something after the race. He did come back through the field. You know, realistically, if the sprint race had run its full course, well, then I think he would have actually taken third, in my honest opinion. He was about half a second to 3/4 a second at times faster than the riders in front of him. Good race as well for Fabio Quartararo. You know, the track and a lot of the corners are set up for the Yamaha, except for that long straight. And he comes out of it in a first gear corner, and you could see it with Bezzecchi. He was getting eaten down the straight. Jack Miller, again, a good race, Joe, build the confidence up. You know, should have been higher anyway, but again, KTM are struggling with that rear tyre, especially this weekend. Maverick Vinales, a little bit of an anonymous race, to be honest, you know, but again, he is still top Aprilia and first Aprilia home. Raul Fernandez was keeping him honest, and a good ride again for Augusto Fernandez. Miguel Oliveira was the last one of the Aprilias. Maybe just not feeling it today, I don't know, but he was quite anonymous throughout the race also. Didn't see much of Nakagami, Pirro and Morbidelli either towards the back of the race. Aleix Espargaro, you know, lost his temper with his team this morning, seemed kind of agitated and then crashed out. Johan Zarco was running well before the crash, not super well, but he was running well up there solidly inside the top 10. Very sad, if I'm very honest, for Joan Mir. He was in third at one point. Marquez passed him, but he was able to stick with Marquez, which I found very interesting. But again, unfortunately for Mir, he had a crash again. So, Joe, silly crash, slow crash. No, Joe, he wasn't injured. He did hurt his hand off the exhaust when he tried to pick up the bike. So, you know, maybe he has been left with an Indian tattoo on his hand, but hopefully in tomorrow's race, it will be a better day for him. Maybe he can finish the race and within the top 10. All in all, I think the race was quite good. You know, that track looks absolutely amazing. It is very green offline. There is, in my view, still a lot of dirt offline where you can see it when the riders have to pick it up. they're not slowing down as they normally would on other circuits. But all in all, I think it was a really good sprint. Wasn't edge of the seat sprint, but it was a good sprint, getting to know the track, how it goes. And I suppose as well, with the little bit of damp patches thrown in, you never really knew, is someone going to stay on or someone going to get flicked off. For me, though, has to be rider of the day. Kind of again split between Jorge Martin and Marc Marquez. I think it was a really good ride for Marc Marquez. But I would definitely love to know your thoughts. What did you think of the sprint race? What did you think of the track? And who was your rider of the day? Definitely leave your thoughts in the comments below. And I'll be back again tomorrow with another video.